For 10 long years, Abigail Thompson, the billionaire's daughter, hasn't spoken a single word. Specialists failed, her family gave up, and the world assumed she was broken. But everything changes the moment Malik Johnson, a poor black teen from the inner city, steps into her silent world. The staff whispers, the stepmother watches, and the house that once protected secrets begins to shake. Because Abigail's silence isn't illness, it's evidence. And when she finally speaks, her first words might expose a truth powerful enough to destroy an empire. What did she witness? And why is someone desperate to keep her quiet? Comment and tell us where you're watching from, and subscribe for more stories. Before his life collided with unimaginable power, Malik Johnson lived in a world that demanded more strength than most adults ever face. At just 18, he juggled 2 jobs, pre-dawn dishwashing and late-night security shifts, trying to keep his younger siblings fed while his mother battled an illness they couldn't afford to treat. Every dollar mattered, every hour mattered, and every day felt like a test he had no choice but to pass. He grew up learning to read people the way others read books, studying the smallest expressions, the quietest shifts in tone. When you're a black kid moving through systems that rarely care whether you rise or fall, survival becomes a skill, not a guarantee. Malik carried that skill like armor, invisible but necessary. Across the city, in a mansion built on old money and older influence, Abigail Thompson lived in a different kind of silence. 10 years without a single spoken word. 10 years surrounded by specialists who gave up, staff who whispered rumors, and a stepmother whose smile never reached her eyes. To the world, Abigail was a damaged girl in a gilded cage. To her family, she was an inconvenience, a reminder of a truth no one dared to name. When Malik was unexpectedly offered a high-paying companion position for Abigail, he didn't question the strange job description or the uneasy tone in the social worker's voice. All he saw was hope, money for medicine, a chance to keep his home standing. But the moment he stepped through the mansion's service entrance, the air shifted. The staff paused, eyes lingered, and the quiet hostility in the hallways told him what words didn't need to. He had entered a world where his presence was tolerated, not welcomed. A world polished on the surface and dangerous underneath. Malik didn't know it yet, but he was walking straight into a story Abigail had been forced to hide for a decade, and someone powerful was determined to keep buried. From the moment Malik stepped into the Thompson mansion, the tone of the place wrapped around him like cold metal, polished, silent, and unforgiving. The workers moved quickly, their eyes dropping whenever Catherine Thompson entered the room. Malik understood instantly. This was a household where fear had a permanent address. Mr. Collins, the butler, guided him through the endless marble hallways without warmth or curiosity. Every turn revealed another reminder of wealth built over generations. Oil paintings, gold trim, priceless artifacts Malik had only seen in magazines. Yet the deeper they walked, the more Malik felt the weight behind the beauty. It wasn't just luxury, it was control. When Malik first met Abigail Thompson, she sat at her large antique desk, surrounded by drawings scattered like lost pages from a memory she couldn't speak aloud. She didn't acknowledge him at first, but Malik noticed something the staff had dismissed for years. Her silence wasn't emptiness. It was tension, measured, restrained, deliberate. He sat on the floor, leaving space between them, letting the quiet guide their connection. And slowly, Abigail's pencil began to move again, more urgent this time. Malik realized she wasn't just drawing pictures. She was documenting something only she understood. But while Malik tried to build trust, the house began tightening around him. The discrimination surfaced quickly, small moments at first, sharp enough to sting but subtle enough to deny. Breakfast was served at a separate counter, away from the other staff. The assigned juice pitcher, marked only for service workers, was placed directly in front of him as a reminder of where he stood. Conversations halted when he entered rooms. Eyes followed him with suspicion, as if his presence alone was a breach of order. And when Catherine passed him in the hallway, her expression said everything. Malik wasn't here because she believed he could help Abigail. He was here because he was expendable. Mr. Edwards, the security chief, made that message clearer than anyone. He trailed Malik through the mansion with the cold certainty of someone waiting for a mistake. His glances weren't just watchful, they were threatening. Malik recognized that look. He'd seen it in neighborhoods where danger lived in plain sight. Still, Malik pushed forward. Each day, Abigail revealed more through her drawings. Shadowy figures. A watch, a marble floor stained with something dark. A memory of fear etched into shapes only Malik seemed willing to understand. And as he pieced the fragments together, a chilling realization formed. Abigail wasn't protecting herself with silence. She was protecting evidence. The tension escalated during a formal dinner party hosted by Catherine. Manhattan elites filled the room, their laughter sharp as crystal. Malik moved through the guests, carrying trays and refilling glasses, trying to stay invisible. But Catherine made sure he wasn't. With a tilt of her wine glass, she introduced him, not as a worker, not as a companion, but as an experiment. The room erupted in polished, cruel laughter that sliced through Malik's composure. The coded words, the stereotypes, the condescension, they targeted him like sharpened arrows dressed in etiquette. Abigail watched from upstairs. Malik felt her presence, her gaze pressing against the glass. And in that moment, she wasn't just observing humiliation. She was recognizing it. Later that night, Malik discovered Abigail had drawn the same shadowy figures again, this time with disturbing clarity. A man watching her, a secret exchange, and something that looked painfully familiar, a scene connected to Malik's own family tragedy. Before he could piece it together, the floor creaked behind him. Mr. Edwards stood in the doorway, expression empty, posture rigid. Something told Malik this wasn't coincidence. This was warning. And the mansion he thought he was simply working inside was beginning to feel like a trap built long before he arrived. The truth began taking shape faster than Malik could process. Abigail's drawings sharpened into memories, specific details of a night she had spent a decade trying to survive. A luxury watch, a marble floor, a man standing over her father, and a second figure Malik recognized before he wanted to, Mr. Edwards. But the moment Abigail handed him a drawing showing both their fathers in the same room before their deaths, the mansion seemed to shift. It was as if the walls themselves knew something had been uncovered that was never meant to surface. Catherine's voice echoed through the hallway that afternoon, sharp with anger. Malik froze. She wasn't arguing with staff, she was demanding him removed immediately. Yet the social worker stood firm, insisting the contract required more time. Malik sensed the danger in Catherine's frustration, but before he could think further, Abigail grabbed his arm with trembling urgency. Her pencil flew across the paper, forming images that hit him like cold air. A figure pointing a gun at a young black man. A warning, a plea. He didn't have time to react. The next day, on a quiet street near the corner store where he picked up his mother's medication, 3 men stepped into his path. Their movements were too synchronized, too calculated. Malik recognized the setup instantly, the kind of staged encounter meant to be explained away as street violence, the kind that swallowed young black men in silence. The first attacker lunged. Malik's instincts, sharpened by a lifetime of survival, took over. He moved fast, redirecting the knife-wielding arm into a parked car. The second swung a bat. Malik ducked low, driving his elbow into the man's ribs. But the third man reached for something worse, a gun. Malik grabbed a loose brick from nearby construction and hurled it with perfect timing, knocking the weapon aside before the attacker fled into the shadows. Sirens blared. Someone had called for help, but Malik wasn't relieved. He was certain this attack wasn't random, and he knew exactly who had ordered it. He didn't go home. Instead, he did the one thing Catherine would never expect. He reached out to Detective Sarah Martinez, the only person his father once trusted. In a quiet diner far from the world of marble floors and silk-draped threats, Malik laid out the evidence Abigail had silently curated for years. The detective's face changed from skepticism to horror as she saw the truth. The same network responsible for Abigail's father's death was responsible for his own. But while they planned the next step, Malik didn't see the danger already closing in. Mr. Edwards sat only a few booths away, capturing photos of the meeting, proof Malik had crossed a line that Catherine would never forgive. When Malik returned to the mansion at dawn, Catherine stormed into Abigail's room with rage so sharp it felt like heat. She held photos of Malik with the detective, throwing them onto the bed like accusations. The polished, controlled woman he'd seen for weeks was gone, replaced by someone willing to burn everything to keep power. And then Abigail did something that shattered the silence of 10 years. She spoke. Her voice trembled, but her words carried truth that could destroy them all. When Abigail's voice finally broke through 10 years of silence, the entire mansion seemed to freeze. Her words didn't just accuse, they exposed. What she remembered, what she survived, what she documented. It was enough to bring down an empire built on fear, corruption, and the belief that no one would ever challenge them. Within hours, investigators filled the mansion. Catherine's confidence collapsed the moment her network of influence began to crumble. And for the first time, Abigail stood, not as the quiet girl in the corner, but as the witness whose strength dismantled the very people who tried to silence her. Malik watched as the truth he'd chased his entire life finally surfaced. His father's name was cleared. Abigail's trauma was acknowledged. And the same system that tried to bury both families finally faced consequences it could no longer escape. But justice didn't end at the mansion doors. The evidence Abigail saved and Malik protected uncovered patterns stretching far beyond their stories. Cases of manipulation, exploitation, and violence that echoed what countless black families across America had faced in silence. Their courage opened floodgates, inspiring others to step forward, speak out, and demand the accountability they'd been denied for generations. In the months that followed, the Thompson Foundation was rebuilt into something new, something honest. Abigail dedicated its future to protecting vulnerable voices, while Malik pursued justice with renewed purpose, determined to make sure no one else's truth would be dismissed the way his had been. Together, they transformed tragedy into movement, pain into power. Their story wasn't just about corruption or wealth. It was about how easily silence is forced on those who lack protection, and how powerful it becomes when broken with purpose. And now the question reaches every person listening. How many more voices are waiting to be heard? How many truths stay hidden because someone is afraid to speak? Because sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is refuse to stay silent. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Black Community Struggles for more powerful stories about justice, truth, and our community's fight to be seen.